When me and my wife stopped hooking up, I could kind of tell that something was up. And then when she visited another part of town instead of going to the doctor's, I was certain. If that wasn't enough, she started hanging out at an old coworker's house in secret. And if you want to know how I reacted to that, you'll have to stick around for my cheating story. Me and my wife, Jasmine, have been married for 6 years, and we have children. Lately, it seems like we've been in this routine of fighting, then acting distant with each other until the next fight. We both have our own reasons and issues which have made our relationship stressful. Sex has been sparse since our first child, or really since we got married, and she's had problems with depression and anxiety. But it's so hard to not feel undesired. The lack of sex is a major reason as to why we fight a lot. I start feeling down, then shut her out, which results in her feeling neglected, so we fight about it. If I bring up sex, she blames her problems for her low drive and that she can't help it. She's trying to get better, so I just have to accept it. When we were dating, we probably averaged 3 times a week, but ever since we got married, it's like once a month, and she rarely initiates. When we had our first kid, I shared our location on our phones just in case something happened and one of us needed to find the other. I will admit, I never actually told her that I did this, as I figured that she'd realize it eventually. But apparently, she never did. I've looked at it a few times over the years, but never really to spy, mainly just out of curiosity. 2 weeks ago or so, our relationship was struggling. She had a doctor's appointment one morning, which is about an hour and a half away, and I wanted to check in to see how it went. I couldn't remember what time the appointment was, and I knew that if I asked, it'd just cause another fight about how I never listen. Instead, I just checked her location, but for some reason, she was going in the wrong direction. I thought it was weird, but ignored and checked back a short while later. When I looked, though, it showed her in a town about 15 minutes away in the opposite direction. She was sitting right outside a mall for around 15 to 20 minutes. Eventually, she heads to her appointment, and a bit later, I messaged her to check in. I checked our bank account a few times, and she never bought anything in that area. And later that night, she brought up something about driving to the appointment and how long it took. I tried to casually ask if she left from our house, and she acted a little weird about the question, wondering why I'd be curious about that. I didn't pry any further, I just dropped it. This past Wednesday, she was off work and decided to take the kids to daycare so she could have a day to herself. She does this from time to time, so I understand it and have no issue with her doing so. However, it was still in my head about how it was a little weird. This type of thing normally wouldn't bother me, but I was more worried than usual because of all the fighting we'd been doing. I thought maybe she'd been talking to someone else, so decided to do a little snooping. I saw her at a house down the road from where we live, and while I thought it was strange, maybe it was just a glitch, so I ignored it. I checked back later and she was still there, so I kept checking in periodically, and she ended up staying for about 3 hours. I could see the address, so I looked up who owned the house, and it turns out that it's an old coworker, a guy called Tom. He's in his 40s, married, and has 3 kids, and she used to talk about him when they worked together. I'd met him before, and he seemed like a good guy, and he and his family are pretty involved in our church. I obviously thought it was really odd. I tried to make sense of it in my head. I had to work late, so when I got home, she was feeding the kids dinner. I asked what she did all day, and I could tell that she felt a little alarmed by the question, telling me she cleaned up around the house and got lunch with a female friend of hers. While the lunch thing checked out, she obviously didn't tell me about being at Tom's house. We got to talking about our kid's upcoming birthday party, and funnily enough, she previously mentioned inviting Tom. Have you talked to Tom?
No. Why would I have talked to him?
We talked about inviting him. I didn't know if you ever did.
Oh, no, I didn't. I do need to pay him for the cakes I bought, though, for the church youth fundraiser.
I got in the shower, planning to confront her after the kids went to bed. She came into the bathroom and asked,
Why did you ask me about Tom earlier? You've brought him up a few times recently.
Well, I thought maybe you talked to him today.
And why would you think that?
Because you were at his house today.
No, I wasn't.
I can see your location on my phone. I know you were there. Also, did you go to a mall before going to the doctor's the other day?
The mall? No.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, why were you at Tom's place for 3 hours today?
We were just talking.
About what? She didn't respond to my question and just walked away. I finished showering, then made my way into the living room. She was on her phone, and when she saw me, she immediately put it down. I'll ask you again. What were you and Tom talking about?
It was just about some stuff that his family's going through. It's pretty bad. His nephew was born premature and has health issues. And there's a potential criminal case against a friend who may have assaulted his 17-year-old daughter.
What she told me checked out, and it's obviously a terrible situation, but I truly believe if she told me she was going to go talk to him, I would have been fine with it. I just don't like that she lied and how I had to find out about it. How did you even end up at his place?
He messaged me on Monday and said it was good seeing us at church that Sunday. After that, we started talking about the kids, and he told me about what was going on with his daughter and this friend. He texted me again on Wednesday and asked if I wanted to drop by and have a chat.
I don't know how he knew she was off work, and he was also off work, obviously. And nobody was at his house. It was just the two of them. I asked to see the messages, and she said that she panicked and deleted them when I asked what she did today. She went on to say that they sat on the porch the whole time and nothing happened. It was 100% innocent. The only reason she didn't tell me is because she didn't want to start a fight, as everything had been good for the past week or so. When we put the kids to bed, we talked some more, and she assured me that nothing happened. I'm sorry, Jasmine. I just don't believe you. It makes no sense that you'd lie to me about all these things, especially if your meeting was innocent. And where did you go when you had the doctor's appointment?
Nowhere.
She denied having ever seen him outside of church until Wednesday, and she was worried that I was going to leave her. She promised that she wouldn't talk to him anymore. It wouldn't happen again, and that she'll block him on Facebook. We've never had anything like this happen before, and I've never been the jealous type. I just wanted her to be honest with me. She buttered me up and calmed me down, and while I really wanted to believe her, I expressed multiple times that I just couldn't and needed some space. The next morning, I went to work and hopped onto her Facebook to see if I could find out anything else. It wasn't hard because she uses the same passwords for everything. I see where they've been messaging again, and she literally messages him as soon as I leave the house at 4:30 in the morning, and she's never up that early. She warned him, letting him know that I didn't believe her story, and he asked what he should tell me happened if I decided to reach out. They ended up calling each other on Messenger, so I took a screenshot of it and messaged Tom's wife on my way home to see what she thought about this whole thing. When I got home, Jasmine woke up, surprised to see me. I apologized for being mad and told her I just overreacted, making her feel confident that I'm over it. After that, I asked her to take the kids to daycare so we could spend the day together. As soon as she left the house, she messaged Tom, asking if she could call him after she drops the kids off. He never replied, but I saw that she called him on her way back home, and throughout all this, she made sure to delete all the messages. When she got home, I acted like nothing was wrong. We spoke for a bit, and I was being very understanding, trying to sell it. She said she was going to get a shower, and I expected her to message him again, but she didn't. I decided to message him myself, acting like I didn't know they've talked since she left the house. I didn't want him to know that I was on to him, so I apologized for the misunderstanding. I casually mentioned that I messaged his wife in hopes that he'll panic and message her again. We chat for a bit, and he claims to only see her as a friend. He's sorry for causing all this, and sticks to the story that she wrote in her message that morning. I got tired of it all, so decided to just go ahead and call her out when she got out of the shower. I messaged him again, saying that I just want to know why they talked on the phone, and he denied that it ever happened, so I sent him the screenshot, saying that it looks like y'all were getting your story together. He replies again, saying it was all innocent and that he's sorry. I tell him that I still want to get his wife's opinion, but she hasn't messaged me back yet. But maybe we'll see them at church on Sunday. Jasmine got out of the shower, but there still hadn't been any contact between them, at least as far as I could tell. He now knows that I can see her messages since I sent him screenshots, so rather than wait, I call her out on calling him, letting her know that it looks like she's trying to get her story straight. She went on to say that she was just scared I was going to blow it up and add more stress to their situation, so she wanted to warn him so he could talk to his wife in case I decided to reach out to her. I asked about when she called the second time, and she said she called him to tell him that I'd calmed down and believe her. Jasmine wanted to know what I said to Tom on Messenger, but I didn't tell her, figuring only me and him know, so if she found it, it meant that she contacted him again. I deleted my messages and tell her that I'm giving her one chance to come clean about everything. I didn't care how bad it was. I just wanted to know so we could start to work through it. But if I uncovered one more secret or lie, I was going to lose it. She swore that I knew everything at this point, and that's all that happened. We go back and forth for a while, and she's scared I'm going to leave her, and she's upset that I've been talking to my best friend. Tom and his wife are very close to both of us, but she feels like it's obvious now that they're really my friends and not hers. She's scared she's going to lose the few friends she has and afraid of what's going to happen to our family. She ends up leaving and going to her parents' house for about an hour or so. And when she got back, she told me that she opened up to her mom about everything, who then sent her home so she could tell me how important I am to her. We talked for a while. I really do want to trust her, and we kind of made up, but things were still pretty tense. Jasmine took a nap and my dad stopped by. We talked for a while about work and money, and after he left, I really got in my head about everything that happened. I started feeling down about everything. And to top it off, work's been terrible lately, so I'm miserable there also. We're always stressing about money, and it seems like as soon as we start making progress, we get hit with another unexpected bill. I'm still struggling with the grief of my mom's passing from cancer, and I've never really been able to talk about it with anyone. I just bottle it up and avoid it, like the plague. Eventually, Jasmine wakes up and we go to pick up the kids together. I don't talk. I'm just completely zoned out, and she doesn't say anything either. On the way back, though, she started saying that it's not fair for me to keep punishing her, that she's sorry, and she wishes she could take it back. I'd been very calm through all of this and haven't yelled once, but I finally just snapped. I started yelling. "You did this, not me. Now you have to live with the consequences. It literally hasn't even been 24 hours yet since this all happened. I have the right to be upset. I'm not trying to punish you, I just feel like shit."
Stop yelling in front of the kids. I don't want Tom. I don't want to be with anyone but you. I would never risk my family.
Nobody really thinks about the consequences of their actions and what they might lose until they get caught. We get home and everyone sits down to eat. I didn't have an appetite, so decided to have a shower instead. When I get out, I apologize to her and tell her, "Listen, I really want to believe you, and I wasn't trying to punish you. Earlier, my dad came by, and I just feel like I'm stuck at work, having to put on a face every day and play their game. I'm stressed about money, and now all this is just too much. I feel like I'm drowning and have no control over my life." I start crying, and she comforts me. She apologizes too, not realizing how stressed and upset I've been. That night, we did a lot of talking, and I cried a lot. We talked about going to therapy together and maybe individually as well. I tell her that I want to believe her badly, but there's just a doubt in my head that I can't get past. We're on pretty good terms now, but to really move on, I need some more answers. I messaged Tom again last night asking if he still has the messages and if he can send them to me, but he's ignoring me. His wife also hasn't read my message. I really want to know why it was so urgent that she had to call him that morning, and why it was so urgent to call him again as soon as she got away from me. I think if he can just show me the messages from Monday to Wednesday, I can move past it. If I can validate their story, I can make peace with it. Otherwise, I'll still have this doubt in my head about what really happened between them. I can't be the only one thinking that Jasmine and this Tom guy hooked up, and maybe even more than once. It just doesn't make sense for her to be so secretive about their conversations or hangouts. People who are really just friends don't have to delete their conversations or have to create cover stories about what they did together. OP is in denial about what went on with his wife and this other guy, and the sad fact is, if there is no trail, it's highly unlikely that he will ever get the truth about what happened. There's a good chance that this blip in their relationship will forever be hanging over his head. And is that the kind of life OP wants to subject himself to? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video on coffee and popcorn, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.